there is a method to our madness. I swear, I promise. We don't just tell you to do this and drop into your follow-up boss for no reason. We've been generating leads for the better part of a decade, and we understand what works and what doesn't work. If we start to see something that does not work, we change it. And we look for feedback from people, but as long as our top producers and our markets continue to close leads the way that they do, perfect example, David jumped right into Miami, started our process, our same lead process as we do here in Atlanta, and is converting leads. We're doing the same thing in Charlotte, doing the same thing in Birmingham. There are, of course, small things that change, but overall, we do this because it works and because there is a certain psychology behind these leads and lead conversion. So I'm going to jump right in there. I'm going to share my screen. Let me do this. Perfect. And I can't slideshow. I cannot. I want to make sure if you have a question, because I can't see the chat, just jump in and interrupt me. That's fine. Whoops. Oh, it's playing automatically. That's why. Okay. So I created this cute little slideshow because I thought it was cute. So there is a method to our madness. That's why I named this the method to our madness. The reason I started saying that is because a lot of agents would come in and they would basically say, why are you doing it this way? Why are you not hammering them with emails and text messages? And, you've got their contact info. Why aren't you talking to them? And the reason being, I got to open this up because I got to see some faces. It's weird when I'm just talking to a screen. Sorry. I crave that interaction. So why are you doing it this way? I've done leads before. We typically call, text, and email that first day, probably call them 3 times. Every single day, emails, text message, and everything like that. Initially, the psychology behind this is that when someone's Googling Miami homes for sale, Birmingham homes for sale, Atlanta homes for sale, Charlotte homes for sale, they're not ready to buy yet. They're just not. I always compare it to, and if anyone's ever onboarded with me or listened to my trainings, it's like when you get the itch to buy a new car. You're not just going to go out and buy a car. I mean, some people do, but the overwhelming majority of people, they'll go to Honda.com, BMW.com, Mercedes.com, Auto Trader, whatever it is. You're fact finding. You want to understand what's out there, what you think you can afford. That's a whole other training class we can talk about later. And you want to really kind of figure out what's going on in that market and what's available. You do not want to talk to somebody. You don't want to talk to a sales agent. You don't want to talk to, you just don't want to be bothered. We understand that. And that's why we do not hammer them right off the bat. What does happen, I'm going to go back to the car example is, you sign up for those websites and everything. When you get that email and it's like, hey, we just got this in stock. It's the, 2022 5 Series BMW black on black with, under 25,000 miles. You're like, that's it. That's my car. I'm going to trade in my car, trade in the wife's car. I'm going to go buy it. It's that same psychology with a lot of these leads. It's a different sales process than a car purchase, but it's a large purchase. And you can look at it in a very similar way. when these people Google Roswell homes for sale, they click on that ad, they put their information in, they're fact finding. If they're relocating, imagine they're in Chicago and they want to come here. And, one of the partners comes home and says, hey, guess what? I got a great promotion, but we're moving to Birmingham. Like, Birmingham? Where's Birmingham? I've never been to Birmingham. Oh, you know what? I have a childhood friend that lives there. Calls up, hey, where's a good place to live in Birmingham? I want good schools and expensive houses and whatever. Oh, you need to live in Mountain Brook. Mountain Brook homes for sale. That's where they are in the process. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to tour homes. For the most part, there are exceptions where people kind of find our website. You'll see those inquiries coming in. That's a little bit different. When that specific property inquiry comes in, they want to go see houses. So that is really the philosophy and method behind our madness. I know, it's crazy. So that is why we do not hammer them up front, because if you do, you will push them away and they will stop using our website. People really like using our website on mobile because you don't have to download an app and it's just really easy to look at. So we want to keep them coming back to our website, coming back and getting used to it, so it becomes their basically housing homepage. There's a lot of options out there. Coldwell Banker, KW, Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, whatever it is. We're competing with all of that. So this is how we do it. All right. I know that when you see that notification pop up on your phone and it's a new lead, and maybe you're like at the club if you're in Miami, or for me, I'm at baseball practice, or you're in sales meeting, or whatever you're doing, and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna grab that. I can't really make that call. I'm gonna grab that. Don't do it. Don't. Because that auto call is very important. The reason we want to just connect with somebody right in the beginning and make it sound like a tech support call is we want to know if that person matches their name and phone number. That is the entire purpose of it. It is not to pre-qualify them. It is not to deep dive into their search or any of that. It's one purpose. And the alive stage, that's why it's there. So that is a real life breathing person. It's their phone number, their email, and now we can jump into the next level of follow-up. So taking that auto call, right when you claim the button, right when you click the notification, there's a 60-second delay. Answer it, say hello, lead bot is going to start talking, and then it's going to connect with everybody else, with the lead. For the most part, and I'll tell you, I'll be super honest, most of the time, they're not going to answer. A lot of times they're not going to answer through that first week because they don't want to talk to you. So we have to kind of trick them. So we're customer service representatives on that first call. And think of it from that perspective. All right. So we just talked about this. When you answer, say hello. Robot starts talking. Press any key to connect. Robot will then attempt to connect to the lead. Again, do not take the auto call. Make sure you take that auto call. We look at that and we can see all of that. And that's kind of like number one of, hey, if you're not taking auto calls, we've got a problem. All right, so first call. If the lead does not answer, do not leave a voicemail. Do not send an email or a text. You want me to repeat it? If they don't answer, don't leave a voicemail, don't text them, don't email them. Don't send them the lender email template. Don't send them the property inquiry template. Just don't mess with them. Have that in your mindset that you're not there to attack them. It's just to see if they're alive. And I'm going to re-emphasize and say it over and over and over. So no, I don't have a problem. I'm just going to keep saying it. Tasks. Tasks are your basically guideline. They're your reminder. They're your nagging friend saying, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. Tasks are your friend. If you find that you are overwhelmed with how many tasks you have, then you probably have too many leads, or you're not doing enough follow-up. Probably both. If you have trouble keeping that organized and getting through them, reach out to your team lead. We can discuss it. If you are with method and claiming leads, for me, it's mandatory. You have to schedule time to do follow-up. You have to put it on your calendar, and that's what it is. Ignore other calls, ignore other text messages. You're doing follow-up. That's what it is. It's part of your job. If you don't do follow-up, you will not sell homes to leads. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. You may get lucky once in a while and send some random follow-up text or email and someone responds. Maybe. Kind of happens. If you do not follow up and complete your tasks, go through them every single day, you'll have 20, 30, 40 of them, however many there are. Make sure you check off the task and then create a new one for your next follow-up. We do emphasize, a lot of people are uncomfortable on the phone. We know, we get it. It's an uncomfortable thing. It's not, some people love it. It's not super comfortable. I know Michael, you're all about the phones. It's extremely important. You guys, the last brokerage, they would like throw cash at you or whatever based on, how many calls you've made, because it is so important. That's why our leaderboard, our point system, heavily revolves around making calls and connecting calls. It works. Even if you are not speaking to the person, but just by leaving a voicemail, that's name recognition, because you want them to think of you when they see that 5 Series BMW come into their email and they got to jump all over it. And hopefully you're sending that property to them. All right. So if the lead does not answer, add a task to call the following day. The auto call day, when you claim the lead, is day 1. So that's day 1. If you skip it and your next day is day 1, that's fine. It's not going to hurt anybody. But when you're looking in your lead record in Follow Up Boss, you can scroll down very easily and see when you actually claimed that lead, and you can count from there. Add tasks for yourself. If it's easy for you or easier for you to go ahead and add 5 tasks for day 1 through 5, do it. Call the lead every single day. Do not leave a voicemail if they don't answer. The theory behind this, and it works, is at some point they're going to be like, what is this number that keeps calling me? And then hopefully they answer it and we can figure out if they're alive or not. Customer service based. Do not try to sell them a house on the first call. All right. This is where the fun begins. Day 5, day 6, and day 7. Day 5, if they do not answer, leave a voicemail. Still like customer service tech based. Hey, this is Carrie from Method Real Estate. I saw you registered on our website. No pressure at all. I'm here to assist you in your search. Do you need me to adjust your search in any way? Are you specifically looking for a bedroom on the main? Would you like a full basement? Are you looking for a bay view or an ocean view? So that's it. If they're like, no, I'm good, I'm just browsing, wonderful, have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions. That's it. Done. Don't push it. We know it's them. You talked about real estate a tiny bit. Done. Take your notes, adjust their stage, because now they're alive, and then click off. Actually, I did that in the wrong direction. Take your notes, check off the task. I always do that first, and then add a new task to follow up, and then adjust their stage. Day 6, so if they don't answer on day 5, leave your voicemail. Day 6, you can leave a voicemail as well, or you don't have to. It's up to you. I prefer you do. And then on day 7, if they do not answer, leave them a voicemail and then send them an email or send them a text message. Don't do all 3. Two is sufficient. Don't be like overly detailed in that email. You want to keep it very simple. If you send a lot of follow-up with like lots of words and everything, no one's gonna read it. Barely anyone opens an email anyway. That's why I always say just go to the phones or text people. But there's email templates in there for a reason and they work. So that is days 1 through 7. That's the process. If at any point they do answer the phone or they respond, they text you back, confirm that it's them and you've made contact. That counts. Same as a call. If they respond to your email on day 7, perfect. Adjust the stage, do your follow-up. It's up to you to determine how often you want to follow up with that person. If they say, I'm not interested, they're lying. They're on our website looking at houses. Very few people are just browsing. Some are, and some are actually just like looking for a friend. Actually, most of it is, it's a mom looking for her kids. We actually see that one a lot. So if it is a mom looking for her kids, 75% chance she's actually just looking for her kids. But still keep her in there. You never know. So if they say they're not interested, they're actually interested. They just don't want to talk to you. If they say they have an agent, they probably don't have an agent. They just don't want to talk to you. If they acknowledge that it's them and they say, I didn't inquire about this, well, someone did. Someone jumped on. We've got a question. Do we think that they may block the call after day 3? It's possible. I'll tell you, I don't block calls. I don't know. I don't block it. Unless they're just calling me over and over and I know who it is. Some people may. I would not blanket that across all of the leads. It's possible, yes. But if they block your calls, then you're going to get them through email. If you think that someone may have blocked your calls and maybe they're responding through email, have someone else call them. Or reach out and just say, hey, can you see if they answer? Or, ask admin, one of the girls, say, hey, can you just call them and just see if it goes through? That's fine. We don't mind. Don't ask them to do it constantly, but if you think that's what's going on. So when you talk to them, at least touch base with them in at most a week when you already talked to them. like when they actually answer the initial call, one of those initial calls. No more than a week, just to touch base, even if you just leave them a voicemail. All right, we already talked about that. I went on my little rant. That's me yelling. So that also basically says the same thing. Leave a voicemail and send a text or email, not both. That's a big thing. You don't, even though it's been 7 days, don't hammer them. Just let them know you're there. After day 7 tactics. This is when you need to be creative. This is when you need to be very creative. Don't treat leads as numbers. They're not numbers. They're people. They're people with jobs, with lives, with kids, with problems, with whatever. Keep that in mind when you're doing follow-up. If someone picks up the phone and they're like, no, I'm not interested, fuck off, they're probably having a bad day. Don't write them off because they actually answered the phone, which is great. You know, maybe not call them the next day, but give them a few days, especially if they're on our website looking. So just because you have like a bad conversation or a weird interaction with somebody, don't write them off because just things happen. And also be cognizant of what time you're calling them. If you're calling people at like 4:45 or 5 p.m., if they've had a long day and all that, and they probably don't want to talk and they're rushing and gotta get dinner ready and all that, they probably don't want to talk about real estate. It depends. But 4 to 5 is not a bad time to call. That's another training class we'll talk about. All right. Ghost voicemails. We love ghost voicemails. I also love ghost texts. And us as realtors, we get them all the time. You ever see it where people text you and they're like, hey, is this David? Or David? All that stuff. Because people, they know what works. You're getting that follow-up process from other people constantly. So try leaving a ghost voicemail. Hey, Steve, give me a call when you get this. Hey, Steve, it's Carrie. Give me a shout. Don't talk to them like you're a stranger. Talk to them like they're your best friend. Create a relationship. Make them want to speak with you. Make it to where when you call them, they're excited to talk to you. They want to talk about real estate. You're one of the highlights of their day, talking about the market. They're not talking about work or kids or politics or news or whatever. Talk about fun stuff, houses. It's awesome. So keep that in mind. Smile, be happy. If you don't sound good on the phone, no one's going to want to talk to you. So it's thinking about the psychology behind that. Leads are not numbers. You're not a robot. If we could use robots, we would. It doesn't work. Even with AI, it doesn't work. Anyone have any questions on like the ghost voicemail thing? You can do that like multiple times. It's fine. Don't do it like every single time because that's like kind of weird. Or do it. Leave 2 or 3 regular voicemails and then leave a ghost voicemail. Mix it up. See what works for you. People are different in different areas. Utilize the email templates. They're there for a reason. So we had the same templates for about almost 7 years, I think. And finally, we're like, all right, we got to revamp these and redo it. What's really cool about it is we could see the metrics behind how often which template was opened, which ones work. We took all of the top ones, rewrote them, and added more that were similar to that. The templates are there to make your job easier. So don't think that just writing a freehand email is quicker or better. I'd rather you take a few extra seconds than, put bad grammar in or put bad spelling or write something or say something that just doesn't even relate to what is going on. So jump in there, click on the template, read it, make sure you read it, make sure it makes sense. Also, this is a huge sticking point for me. In Follow-Up Boss on the top left, it shows their name, their phone number, and email. And then when you use a template, it populates their name. If their name is like, in Follow-Up Boss, like Honey Boo Boo, or, David had a really funny one. It was like Queen Bee, and, stuff like that. Don't send the template and it's like, good morning, Queen Bee. Like, come on. Like, don't. A lot of times you can look at their email and see what their name is. If you take a couple extra seconds, you can Google their phone number or Google their email. And if they have some kind of public job or whatever, it'll pull it up and you'll see it. A lot of times it doesn't work because, a lot of people are private, but it does work. Look at their name. If there's some dumb name in there that you're like, there's no way this is their name. Don't address them in that way in the email. Change it. Good morning. Good afternoon. I know it sounds dumb and simple. We see it every single day. Like crazy stuff. And when I get an email, it's like, hi, whatever. It's like not even my name. I'm like, delete, spam, block. That's it. That's when I block stuff. So I'm like, this is obviously coming from some list. So please just take a second, look at it, make sure it makes sense, and make sure the number or the name is not, Jack something or whatever. We've seen it all. We've seen it all, I promise. David has seen it all. Sorry, I'm gonna call you out. We will talk about the template list. Come on. I don't think that's the whole thing. Oh, it is. Okay, cool. That was a quick one. Nice and easy, right? Pretty painless. All right, so what I want to talk about now is that going to be weird? That's weird. Okay. Let's do... We'll just zoom in a little bit and then I'll expand this out. Does anyone have any questions as of right now? Any questions on any of this? There's someone in the chat. Oh, Queen Bee with the honey. Yes. I remember that. That was good. I don't know if you guys know, but like whenever we see like a really funny name come in, we all kind of like share it amongst ourselves. Some people are super creative, and she was really sweet. Yeah, she was sweet. We like that. I mean, that's fun. Yes, Teresa.
Hey, I was going to ask, I haven't gotten any phone calls through the app, so I was wondering if Alabama is on board with that yet, or is there a reason I'm not getting them?
If you're not receiving auto calls, if you're not seeing notifications, if you're seeing anything weird in the software, in Follow-Up Boss, in the app, anything like that, if you can, take a screenshot of it and send it over to admin. Like anything, it's all software. It's not perfect, especially our platform. It's really in beta version. So make sure that if you see something weird, what is that thing? See something, say something. See something, say something. If we say, oh no, that's supposed to be like that, don't worry about it. Okay, great. Usually if you're seeing something strange, there's something broken in the back end. We'll send it to the developers. We have developers working on the apps and everything 24 hours. So just send it over and it'll get knocked out and we'll make sure it gets done. So Teresa, perfect. Don't let things drag on. Let us know and we'll knock it out. Jason, is that your is that your question in the chat?
Yes, yes it is.
Perfect. So do you email after 7 days also with a template? I always use templates when I have not connected with them, because we really have templates for everything, like basically all situations. You can take a template and adjust it. You can change it.
How long do you wait?
After day 7.
Okay.
So like if you call them on day 7, they haven't answered anything, they still haven't answered, send them an email that day. And I'm going to answer a bunch of questions in this next page, and it's all going to kind of come together. Because you're asking, okay, what do we do after day 7? What's advanced follow-up look like? What is all that? We've got that. Got you covered.
I had a quick follow-up question to what the lady just asked you. So something similar happened. I think they were previous leads from other people. So when that's the case, you won't be connected with a phone call, correct?
Great question. I'm really glad you actually brought that up, because we get that question a lot. I believe the auto call does not ring on reassignment. So that's a reassignment lead. When you get a reassignment lead, and that's a lead that's already been in the system, and then it gets reassigned to you. The reason it gets reassigned to you is the agent who had it before is not following up. And it's not just not following up with the lead. That lead is active on our website. They're actively looking, and someone isn't following up. You'll see in the lead record, Sophie says, everyone knows Sophie, hey, please touch base with this lead. If 48 hours goes by, that lead gets reassigned. Even if you called them from your personal phone and you come back and you're like, I did this and all that. Well, we don't know that. We're not genies. We don't know. And Method has to protect its investment in leads. Every single lead that you see and click claim is already paid for. It's already paid for. Peter fronts all of that money, basically up front. So the expectation is you are going to follow up and you are going to do it properly, because if you don't, usually it doesn't work. Sometimes you get lucky. Great question. And I also emphasize this. If you get a reassignment lead, start from the beginning. Do your calls, day 5, day 7. Start from the beginning. Start the process over. I guarantee you, agents all the time convert reassignment leads. I love reassignment leads because they've already been in the system. They've already been, seasoning throughout the process, especially leads that are like 2-3 years old. You won't see those too much in Miami, but in Atlanta, we get leads that have been in our system for 5-6 years that end up converting. A lot can happen in that time. People get promotions, do whatever, get rid of debt, all that fun stuff. Michael has a question.
So I was gonna say, if there was a lead that, say, was in an agent's database that had gone stale, agent hadn't contacted that person in 2 to 3 months or anything, there's been little to no contact, or maybe no contact at all, and then 2 or 3 months later, the agent's like, well, I think I'm gonna start doing it, I'm gonna start calling again. Would they start all over at the very beginning of the process with that lead, or where do you think they would drop in on that lead, or what would be the appropriate sort of
Good question.
handling that?
Really good question. I would first look at if they ever connected. Did you ever connect with that person? Did you ever speak to them? Did you ever interact? If you didn't, start the process over. If you did connect with them and then it's just, leads are people, maybe something happened or, things happen. I would definitely call them. Obviously leave the message because they're probably not going to call. They actually might if it's been a long time. And then send them an email a nice email, especially because you've already connected with them. Pick one of the templates, or we're not telling you not to write personal emails, but it actually does take a lot longer to write a personal email than use a template. And the templates are good. They're not canned responses. We want good follow-up, not garbage. Did that answer your question? Perfect. All right. I told you I'm going to say stuff over and over and over again. I'm going to say it again. Proper lead follow-up process. If the lead does not answer the auto call, do not leave a voicemail. Do not send an email. Do not send a text message. Create a task for the next day to follow up. So every single day, you do your day one call where you take the auto call. They don't answer, create the task for the next day. Next day, call, check it off, go to the next day. I promise it's going to keep you organized and you're going to know exactly what to do. And side note, always call through the app, the Follow Up Boss app. Call through it. It automatically logs your call. Automatically. You don't have to worry about it. The problem with not doing... Question. Can't hear you. There you go.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but just for the Miami agents especially, but this goes for everyone across the board. If you're calling through WhatsApp, make sure that you manually click the log call button at the top of the lead's contact card on Follow Up Boss and log the call that way. Otherwise, if you don't do it, then the admins won't know, I won't know, we won't know that you've actually done the call. And make sure that you can make notes. Of course, make notes, you should, but don't click create note and then put it in the note that you called. Actually click log call and say, called me via WhatsApp or texted via WhatsApp or whatever.
Great point. And also, not only letting admin know, but through our smart lists and other things in the back end, when you log a call or there's a connected text, it restarts timelines. So in regard to stages, it'll reset it and it'll put it back in like the queue for that stage. Leads get re-engagement text messages when they haven't been on the website for like 5 days and then 10 days. You don't see any of that. It's all automated. If you're not actively following up, it doesn't re-trigger those timelines. So, and there's one other thing that I can show you, and we can jump into Follow Up Boss after this, but I want to get through this, and if anyone has any other questions, just let me know. All right, continue that for 5 days, day 5 through day 7. Day 5, leave a voicemail if there's no answer. We know that. So remember, day 5, leave that voicemail. Customer support, tech-based. You're their friend. You're not trying to get them pre-approved for a mortgage. Day 6, leave a voicemail if there's no answer. Day 7, send an intro email or a text and leave that voicemail. Well, either or, text or email, and then leave the voicemail. We talked about the call script. Does anyone have any questions about that? You don't have to do it word for word, but along these lines, emphasize no pressure at all. Say, this is not a sales call. I'm a real person. I'm here to help you with your search. I like to say which site they're on. We have a bunch of different ones. So whether it's Method Miami, Method Birmingham, the Atlanta MLS, say it. If they don't know what it is or they're confused, that means they're probably on 7 different websites, and I'll show you how to look at that. Try different things. Different things work in different markets. Jason, question. I think you're muted.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was going to ask, So I know we call up from the Follow Boss machine and everything, but when do we actually call from our own personal cell phone? Is that after we go on showings with him?
Good question. There's no like specific rule. I would default to just using the Follow Up Boss app. And I even do it with past clients. David, question.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, Garrett, either, but I do the same thing that you do. I will always, even with past clients or people I'm under contract with, or whatever the case may be, I always try to get a call through the Follow Up Boss app. I mean, it helps with your points anyway, which is great. So I would just default to doing that. It's not the end of the world if you're already working with a client and you don't, if you accidentally or you just call them through your phone. That's fine. But I would default and make a habit of using the Follow Up Boss app to call all your people.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Absolutely. Well, and also for post-closing follow-up, when you already sell a home to somebody, I put tasks in. If you know their birthday, put it in there. Their 1 year anniversary. I do like 6 month house anniversary. I send my past clients like love letters in February. I try not to send like all the same stuff because I want it to be unique and different. I send them Thanksgiving stuff. All of that. Of course, holiday cards too. I throw a little $1 scratch off lotto tickets in there. Be creative. Be fun. Make sure you do it. These leads, they're not like one-hitter quitters. You've got to cultivate those relationships because you will get referrals from that. Automatically, you'll get referrals. But if you really cultivate those relationships, you're going to get a lot. So make sure you utilize it, because when I see that task pop up in Follow Up Boss, I just click on it and go and call them right from Follow Up Boss. And then you know that you called them, you know it was done. Go in, set a new task, or wait for the next one, whatever it is. A lot of times I'll call people like, hey, how's the market going? I'm like, oh, it's good. We go and go. It's like, actually, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about getting an investment property. It's funny that you called me. You have to be intentional. Business is not going to come to you. You got to go get it. You got to go get it. After day 7 follow-up, if there's no contact, try that ghost voicemail and get creative. Hey, it's Gary. I miss you. Bye. I wouldn't do that. That's weird. But it's okay to be creative. It's okay to switch it up. It's okay, for any of that. We just want you to follow up. Just do it. Don't be afraid to be your personality. Don't have to be this like sales robot person. Try to make genuine conversation and relationships with these people, because if you do that, you will get more business and you will be successful. If you're not creating relationships, you will not be successful in this business. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you treat leads like numbers, it's just not going to happen. You don't sound genuine. People aren't going to want to speak to you, and it's just not going to work. I will stop on the tangents, I promise. I said I wasn't going to do it. David prepped me too. He was like, keep it together. So I'm keeping it together. Any questions on that? Good. All right. A day in the life of a method agent. What does it look like? It's so mysterious. This can, of course, change. This is the preferred method, but we know there are those of you that stay up till 2, 3 in the morning. You like to do your follow-up super late and all that. That's fine. If you're going to do your follow-up late, send emails. You can send as many emails as you want at 2 or 3 in the morning. It's actually good to send them between like 1 and 3 because it's going to be in their inbox first thing. That's why you always get like target emails at like 2:30 in the morning or like 4 in the morning. That's why they do that. If you're going to do that, that's fine. But just make sure you actually do the follow-up. If you are, a morning person, and that's kind of like the opposite. If you get up at 5 a.m., don't start calling people at 6 or 7. Call people at like 10. 9:30 the earliest. The earliest. I usually like to say 10, 10:30, even like approaching 11, because when people go to work, say they get to work at 9, and it's just like they have to do tasks and this and maybe a meeting, usually by like 10:45-ish, they're already thinking about lunch, and you can kind of get them snoozing a little bit. And they'll want to talk to you because it's something else. They're not doing like TPS reports or something. So at, whatever time it is, start going through your smart lists. If you don't know what smart lists are, we can talk about them after. I can stay on and we'll discuss it. There's also a video for that. So, flagged leads. Flagged leads are list 0, meaning that's ground zero. That's not a great thing, whatever. That's where you start. I know, it's okay. They are flagged because they are active on the website and you are not following up with them. Zoe will go in there and she will flag that lead. So you get that red flag. Go in there and follow up with those people. You do not have to unflag them. Zoe goes and Sophie goes and manually unflags them. So if you followed up with them in the morning and they're still there at like 8 p.m., it's okay, she'll get to it. Or if you really want to be proactive, tag her in follow-up boss, in a note and say, hey, I followed up with this person. Super important. These flagged leads are there. I mean, they're ready. They're probably on the website right that second. Haley said 4 to 6 in the afternoon. Yeah, it's a good time. Next, you are going to go to your active leads smart list. And do this before you do any tasks. Reason being is if they are on the active leads smart list, they have been on our website within the last 24 hours, or they have clicked a text re-engagement, because sometimes you'll look at it and they'll be on the active leads list, but they don't have any properties that they've been looking at in the top right in follow-up boss. That just means that they opened up the email or the text message and clicked on it, and they just scrolled through it and they didn't actually click on any properties. Does that make sense? I love active leads list because regardless of what stage they are, regardless of how long they've been in the system, any of that, they are going to be on that list if they've been active in any way. That's your bread and butter right there, your active leads list, because they are active on the website looking. So this kind of relates to how often do you follow up after day 7? Like, what does that look like? If you set it on day 7, you leave the voicemail, you shoot them a text, you don't hear back, put a task out for a week. Or even if you talk to them just briefly and they're alive, put a task out for a week. What's going to happen is if they're active on the website, 2 days after you spoke to them, you're going to see it here. If you see them active on the website, follow up with them. Doesn't have to be crazy. Doesn't have to be the absolute next day. But follow up with them at some point. We have templates that will pull the last 5 properties they've viewed on our website and automatically send it to them. They have, I believe, ones that they favorited. I gotta look in there. You can go into their search or on our website, and if something matches their criteria, you can just copy that link from our website and put it in there, and it'll show what property it is and send it to them. That's called active organic follow-up. You're not sending them canned responses. You're looking at what they're doing and you're responding in a similar way. Be creative. Sometimes I'll look at like the news in the morning. I'll just pull up, real estate news, Southeast, real estate news, Georgia, Atlanta. And if there's something interesting, I have that in the back of my head, because if I've already talked to the person, you're not going to do a text support call. You need to engage them. You need to create common ground. Keep that in your head, because you can pull that out and be like, hey, did you hear they're doing this huge development? It's really interesting. People are talking about it. Most of the time people haven't. And it's just, it makes you look good. It makes you look like you know what you're talking about. And you need that until you actually know what you're talking about. It's okay. All right, so flag leads first, active leads second, then start clearing your tasks. There's a task button in the kind of top left of Follow Up Boss. Click on that. It'll show you your overdue tasks, your current tasks, and then your future tasks. I will repeat, if you are getting overwhelmed by your tasks, please meet with your team lead and we can talk about it and we can figure out what the problem is. What is it? Are you adding too many tasks? Are you just, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. All of the team leads here are, more than top producers. We're essentially like industry leaders with our sales records. Talk to us. We've done this. We went through it. We basically helped create it. Make sure you start with overdue tasks. That's like the fast track to not catching up. If you just jump into that day's task, go to your overdue and knock those out. Even if that's the only thing that you do that day is clear out your overdue ones, you're at least like chipping away and getting there. When you complete that task, make sure you create a new one for future follow-up. I know we forget, it's okay. That's why we have the active lead smart list. If you forget, they will be on that list. This is really important. This is something that Andrew spoke about previously. After you speak with somebody, take really good notes. Or if you can I know it's hard. I can't really take notes when I'm talking to someone. I kind of can, I'll remember like things. Try to, and you need to practice this too. It's a skill. If they tell you where their kids go to school, if they tell you where they're originally from, if they tell you that their mother's sick and they're going back and forth or whatever, write that stuff down, because it's going to set you up for that next follow-up call. Because guaranteed, if you call them like, how's your mother doing? That alone is just going to create so much rapport, and every other person that's trying to do follow-up on them on whatever websites they're on, they're going to be like thrown to the wayside. They're going to be like, God, David didn't remember my mom was sick. Asked about her. That's big. It makes people feel important. People crave interaction. Do it. Give them what they want. Give them that interaction. So write down those details. Really do it. If you want to practice with like family members, like people you talk to all the time. And just from that conversation, just practice writing down what they were saying. What are they doing? Whatever it is. Practice makes perfect. You'll get better and better and better at it to where eventually, like, you're not even looking, you're just like writing stuff down and doing it. It's an amazing practice that a lot of salespeople are not good at. The top salespeople that I know, and I know them from a bunch of different industries. Specifically, there's a mortgage guy in California. He was one of my mentors. He taught me to do this, and this is how you do it. He closes like 75 loans a month. This guy makes multi-millions a year just from loan origination because he creates relationships. Every time you talk to him, it's like you're his best friend. It's not easy to do. That is a skill. But you have to practice it. If you want to practice it, come to us. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what you're saying wrong. Listen, when you take that auto call, it's recorded. Listen to that call. You sound like you sound like. That makes sense? You sound like what you sound like. So listen to the call. I know sometimes it's like cringy and you're like, I can't like listen to myself talk. Do it. Because you're going to listen to it and be like, God, why did I say that? That was weird. Or I sound strange when I say that. If you think it sounds strange, it sounds strange. So, and you know, I'm just going to be honest. We listen to calls. I listen to calls constantly. If I see something weird, I send it to my agent. I'm like, don't say this again. Or I want you to listen to this and just like give me your thoughts. It's okay. That's how you get better. It's how you perfect what you're doing. That was a tangent. I'm sorry. That was an important one that I wanted to make sure we talked about. Super, super important. If you do this, you will connect with so many people, I promise. And anywhere, every part of your life. All right. Stages. What are stages? Where do they come from? What do they do? All that fun stuff. Stages are basically like the home base of where a lead is in that process. So every lead in the system comes in as a lead. They're just a lead. We don't know if they're alive. We don't know if they're engaged. And we definitely don't know if they're buying. You see, it kind of makes sense. When you connect with a lead, like actually make contact, that's when they go from being a lead to either alive, engaged, or buying. Just because you called them or text them or emailed them does not mean that they're contacted. We get that confusion a lot with new agents. This is very important because if you don't set your tasks, they will essentially be caught by these stages, these lists. Say you talk to someone, have a wonderful conversation with them, and you don't set a task, you don't check your smart lists or any of that. They're essentially gone until Sophie messages you and say, hey, you need to follow up with this lead. They're really active on the website. So it's so important when you get off the phone, make sure you write detailed notes. You specifically add a task to follow up, and then you adjust their stage. In these stages, when someone is alive in this list, they're only going to pop up in that list once every 25 days. These people, it's them. They've told you, I'm kind of interested, or I'm not interested, or I've got a realtor, or whatever it is. That's where you're going to put them in alive. If they're active on the website, they're going to be in your active leads smart list. And you're going to catch them there. You're going to catch them there before your task, and you're going to catch them before they're ever even actually in this smart list. So as you see, we have multiple levels of protection so that you can convert all of these leads. Told you there's a method to our madness, I promise. So that's alive. You know they're alive. That's it. When you get to the point of having that conversation and they give you a timeline, or you have a deeper conversation about properties, or really anything over just like, I'm not interested, whatever. If it gets to that point, put them in the engaged smart list. If they are in the engaged smart list, they are going to pop up in that list once every 12 days, right? 12 days, yeah. And what I mean by pop up in this list is if you ignore your task and you don't follow up with them, if you ignore the active leads list and you don't follow up with them, they will land in this list. And if someone's in this list, you need to follow up with them because they've essentially hit that maximum timeline of when you should have followed up with them. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of deep as you get in and it's like multiple different things. So if you have a question, please, please, please ask it. If you're confused, please say something. All right. I like this. Buying. These are your buyers, your hot buyers. Not someone that says they're going to buy in 6 months. These are people that you've met, that you know, they're looking, or people that are very interested. Maybe you've shown them a couple properties, or maybe they're getting pre-approved. They're in that process. Even I do like credit repair people. I know in Miami, you guys don't know what that is. That's when someone doesn't have great credit and you help them. I mean, come on, let's be honest. So in the buying list, they're there every day. They don't disappear. So if you're like, who are my hot buyers? Who are these people? Right there. Change their stage to buying. They will be there every single day. That really helps me because I have multiple people looking in like very specific areas, whether it's school district, neighborhood. I can jump in there and say, oh yeah, let me look. And I'll pull up the MLS and I'll see, oh, there's something new. And I send it right over to them. So that's good practice, especially if it's like super early or late. Send emails. Send your emails whenever. Don't do follow-up drunk. Please. It happens. Really, it happens all the time. If you have surgery and you're on painkillers, do not do follow-up. It has happened many times. Just don't. PSA from Carrie. All right. Add that task after checking off the old task. I told you I'm going to repeat myself constantly. I'm repeating myself because no one does it. Not no one, but you forget. All right. Here are the questions that I'm assuming you would ask, or maybe you're thinking about, because they've just come up a lot. So how often should you follow up? David, how often should you follow up?
Well, after days 1 through 7, it's up to you, essentially, and we do want you to get creative with how you do it. But you, like for a new lead.